think the biggest sort of challenges that we've got going through, the transition that we're going through as we mature into a digitally, and also with the decarbonisation challenge that awaits us as well. And those two things kind of are really changing the way in which we operate, the way we think about the way we design the kind of work of seafarers and marine professionals all over the globe. And then coupled with that, we have a very obvious skills shortage of the really kind of talented people that we need to propel us into that future. So for us, the challenges as we see it are all people challenges, and our solutions are largely all geared towards how to kind of empower marine professionals to excel and to do their jobs well, safely, and to perform for their companies. So we work within the human capital management sphere. Within that, we have our traditional biggest part of our business, which is the maritime e-learning, which I think is becoming more and more important when we think about swiftly upskilling the next generation of seafarers and the existing seafarers that are out there as well. And then, of course, things like crew management, which will make the whole kind of logistics of managing our people and getting the most out of them as well. So those are kind of key to us. But I think when you look at the broader technology portfolio that we have in terms of fleet management as well, a lot of that is about making very complex jobs more manageable for human beings to be able to do efficiently, safely, and sustainably. So I think in answer to that question, the first part of it is really when we think about like what we do well in shipping. We have a very good history of taking people, putting them through that initial stage of education that gets them to their certificate of competency and able to work at sea. And that's been our strength. I think where we've not been so good is looking at continual professional development and thinking about how we kind of invest in those people and get them further and further along the way. I think in terms of the skills shortage that you mentioned and the risk there, it's that we're dealing with an even lower bar to start with, so we may have to accept that we need to bring people in and develop them sort of in work even more. So I think that trend that we're seeing and that concern that's out there really just reinforces the point that we need to look at continued professional development. We need to really codify what we need from roles in terms of skills and behaviours, and then we need to think about how we kind of formally go through that process with the right checks and balances. So things like competency management, which have been around for a long time, these need to be much more widespread, and we need to think much more carefully. So I've been very encouraged to see things like behavioural competency being codified by Intertanko and OCIMF, because that's really important that we blend the technical skills with the kind of behavioural skills that people are going to need to be able to create the right sort of cultures for our people to thrive and for our industry to thrive, and for us to have a really good product to sell to aspiring next generation who are looking what industries they wish to be part of. And I think if we get the right cultures and we get the right kind of, really kind of prepare people for an exciting and imaginative career that they can see is actually going to take them places in the future, then it's going to be much easier for us to attract those people in. I think the answer is for us to take a bit more of a long-term view as an industry. I think I've been in the industry for 20 years, and I think it often shocks me how short we're looking sometimes in terms of, getting through the next 6 months or 8 months. We're not looking at making some of those longer-term investments. And I think when it comes to some of the things I've talked about today, some of that people investment, we're not going to see a return on some of that overnight. We need to lay the foundations. We need to be patient and put in place the right sort of measures and invest in those people to be able to get the return that we're looking to get at the end of it. So I think I would encourage our industry to take a bit more of a longer term view, to think a little bit more strategically about what we want to do from a people perspective, and really think about kind of getting the most out of our most important asset, the people.